beginning of the show, so we're going to go ahead and hit right now. Looks like, is it Gianna from Houston?
Yeah.
Hello? Okay, and you're married to a theist, raising children without indoctrination, and you're talking to Tracie and John.
Hi, yes. So we're not married yet, but we're going to be. And then that brings up the question of, like, how we want to raise our kids.
Okay.
Do you have kids? Wait, do you have kids, or are kids like a future thing?
Future thing.
Okay.
Near future thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So that's basically like what you were talking about in the last call. Like, I don't want my kids to be indoctrinated into this, because that's what he wants, basically. He wants to teach them what he's been raised to do. And, like, I personally don't want that for our kids, but I also want to respect his values.
What is his religious tradition, if you don't mind me asking?
He's just non-denominational Christian.
That's scary. Okay, I was non-denominational Christian. It's different, just to let people know, it's very different than interfaith. It's not the same thing. Mm-hmm. Non-denominational can mean very extremely conservative Christian. I don't know what brand of it your fiance is, but is there a sign in front of the church? Does it identify?
It's a Hispanic church. It's basically like Iglesia Enfoque, something like evangelical Christians, a family.
Okay. Have you been to this church? Have you met anybody at the church or anything like that?
I have.
Okay. Am I wrong or am I right? Like, is it a conservative tradition or not?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Pretty conservative.
Okay. Yeah, and people get drawn off track with that because there's, I think it was in the book, The Good News Club. I just want to do this as silent. The Good News Club, she talks about how in the flyers for this little church group that was at her kid's school, they used non-denominational, and a lot of people didn't know what that meant. And they thought that it meant like interfaith, or they were open to everything. And it's like, no, this means you're going to hell if you're not a member of our group. That's what that means. So if you see non-denominational, don't think that means tolerant, because it's like the opposite of tolerant in most cases. Now, if there are people who are exceptions to that carry a non-denominational flag, my apologies for broad brushing you, but in my experience, non-denominational is kind of an ugly thing in general, and you carry that baggage with you from your brethren who are more conservative. Apologies for what you have to deal with. So with you're gonna marry somebody who's basically kind of out of a tradition similar to what I came from, and why?
Well, we usually don't talk about religion, but recently I've just been like more vocal about it. Like, we've decided to talk about it more because it's like comes in with planning things for future, like getting married, like how we want to get married, how we want to raise our kids. So he's just been with me for like 7 years, and I do want to marry him. It just
okay. I'm going to warn you that some of these conservative churches have very traditional family values, right? Which is code for he runs the house. Does his family operate that way? Have you seen his family?
His family kind of does, but he's not like that.
Now.
Like his dad.
Yeah, he's not like that now. But you're not married and you don't have kids yet. Now, I don't want to frame somebody wrongly, but you're basically saying that now that the marriage is coming up, these conversations are starting to become a thing where they were never a thing before.
They were like kind of a thing, but we never really came to a conclusion before.
Okay. This is important to him, though, right?
Yes. Like he says it's his like Christian duty to like spread this to his kids.
Okay. Well, he's told you. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. There's no good answer to this other than go in with your eyes open, because he is telling you how it's going to be. And I don't, and if you have concerns and you want to go through with this, I guess the only helpful suggestion I can make is tell him you want to go to counseling pre-marriage. Tell him you want to go see a counselor. Pick yourself a secular counselor that you feel good about, and say, we need to make sure this is clear and ironed out and that we have a path going forward on this before we go to the altar. And that way you'll have a third party intervening to help you guys communicate this stuff and get whatever the concerns are out there. But I don't think I would walk into this thing without something like that.
Yeah, I understand that. One thing that I've told him, it's kind of like, not very nice, but it's kind of like a joke kind of for him, because I don't want to raise our kids that way. I told him, if your God wants our kids to like practice God, then they will. But if he doesn't, then they won't. So it's kind of like what I've been telling him. Like, if you pray hard enough, they might go to church, or might believe that.
He's going to bring them to church when they're little, like before they have a chance to even know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to go into that church,
but
and they're going to play with other little kids, and they're going to get to go put little sticky things on the felt board, and they're going to sing songs, and there's going to be vacation Bible school, and the kids are going to love it.
I guess you need to decide, Gianna, if that's, well, first of all, if that's what's going to happen. I think it's good that you're talking about that now. And I don't know, has he been open to these discussions? Is he interested in how you feel about how you want them raised? Is he willing to negotiate? That's all stuff we don't know about him.
He's open. Like, I want to bring this up with him, but I know he doesn't really want to talk about it. So when you do bring it up, he's like, he knows how I feel and he knows what I want, but he still says, like, no, I want to do this.
That's to me is a red flag.
That's an
sure.
impasse. I mean, that's an impasse. And I think it's fair to say, if our plan is to get married and our plan is to have kids, and we're disagreeing on something really foundational here that means a lot to both of us, then we need to have somebody come and talk to us, right? Because, I mean, if he's flexible enough to say, let's go to a UU church instead of the church where my family goes, right? Like, let's go to a more liberal Christian church that isn't so preachy and indoctrinating, that mainly just has somebody that gets up and talks about, good civic duty and what it's like to be a good, decent person, and to be kind to others and help.
And where the kids learn about religion, they don't learn which religion is the correct
That's
one.
an option, but it has to be an option he would be okay with. I mean, I don't know if he's just likes that church thing, wants to bring the kids to the church, and he would be okay with like a UU church. Or if he would, and that's Unitarian Universalists. That's a good middle ground.
A lot of mixed belief couples end up there because they can kind of both be a community there.
So if he's flexible in that level, you could say, okay, I don't mind the kids going to church. Can we go to a Unitarian Universalist church? And that way the kids they have that church experience. Somebody stands up and does a quote sermon that is really just about being a good person, right? Or like John is saying, they'll talk about different religious traditions, and the kids can get an understanding of religion without being indoctrinated. And so if he's flexible like that, if he's not demanding that you go to his family's church, that might be an option. Yeah. There's options. I don't want to be bleak, right? Because there are mixed couples that do make things work. And like me and my husband had different ideas about it, but he wasn't that churchy, right? So it's like that's a different thing when the guy is saying, I want to bring the kids to church with me. And so there might be some give and take available between the two of you, but I would definitely get somebody involved in this to help you talk through it.
Yeah. Decide for yourself. Decide for yourself what's going to be a deal breaker and what he's willing to negotiate with you about, and decide if whatever he wants and is not willing to negotiate on, is that okay with you if your kids do that? And if it's not, then you need to make other plans, I think.
No, but I feel like he would be flexible to that, because he is pretty conservative religiously, but like other things, he's super liberal. He was very flexible with stuff. But I feel like if we do want to go to a church like that, those just seem like morals that we could teach them at home. Like, it doesn't have to be around a church,
Yeah, but if he likes that tradition, I'm just saying it's a nice way to get a secular religious education for the kids, and a good, like you say, sort of moral framework of, being a good citizen, and being a good, family member, and being just a good person overall, the value of kindness, things like that. That church is a good fit. Like John is saying, if you've got somebody that really just wants to do the church thing, if they're not tied to a specific tradition, that could be a flexible option that allows him to feel like he's getting that church thing and allows you to feel like your kids are not being indoctrinated into beliefs in hell and stuff.
And you can do it together.
Yeah.
He's not going to church with the kids and you're staying at
Yeah.
home and, doing your own thing.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. I mean, I've been to a UU service, and it's like going to a lecture. So it's actually pretty nice.
Yeah. I didn't even know those were a thing, so
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good.
And I know there's some, and I know there's some in the Houston area. There's several. So
yeah, there's a lot of them around.
it's worth checking out anyway and see what he thinks about it.
Yeah, that might be a good
Right.
solution.
All right, awesome. Well, thank y'all so much. I'm not going to take up
Good
any
luck
more
with it. Call us
time.
back and let us know how it goes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will update y'all.
All right, thank
you.
you.